Hello, everybody, and welcome to the latest episode of the podcast Music Rules. It's a show where two fellas, myself and my friend Jack, talk about music that rules and the rules of music. The rules that govern the world of music. The rules that rule the music and the sounds that we listen to, these frequencies that vibrate into our ears.
They govern and they dictate everything we do, everything we see, everything we hear, smell, taste, touch, sound. These are the universal rules of music that we will be discussing at length. And
the rules for life.
Yes.
12 rules for life.
And speaking of numbers, this is our 10th episode.
Oh my God, that is so exciting. Yeah. Double digits. I remember when I turned double digits.
Yeah, what did you do on your 10th birthday?
I think I was wearing a cut-off Quicksilver red singlet, and I got extremely sunburnt on my shoulder/upper arm, and it was bright pink, almost the same color as the singlet by the end of the day. Wonderful. And I think I got like 3 copies of Shrek on VHS. Oh. That could have been an earlier birthday in which I told everybody that I wanted the movie Shrek on VHS, and then everybody got it for me.
Fantastic. And then you had all those 3 copies. Do you have any singular copy left over from that birthday?
Yeah, I definitely have at least 1 VHS copy of Shrek at my parents' house.
Nice.
And it's fitting that I'm telling so many stories about myself today, because this episode, I'm going to be talking about my favorite musician, my favorite topic, and that is me.
Well, it is moi.
C'est moi, c'est moi. So we're talking about today the album Popstar by the band Fenn is Cool. It's my project. I write the songs and stuff. I have a friend called Rose Chan who plays some instruments on it. I have a friend called Jacob Dawson Daly who also plays some instruments on it, and contributes to it. Both of those guys contribute to it in different ways.
Do you have any?
It's pretty awesome.
It is pretty awesome. Do you have any other guests on this one?
No. I keep it in the family. Nice. By family, I mean those 2 friends. But it started as a solo project.
Who you are related to?
Yeah. Yeah.
Who are your identical twins?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It started as a solo project. Basically, I did a composition degree at university. As you can tell by my...
Yeah, okay. Big flex.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I mean, you already knew that.
Weird flex, but okay. But actually doing composition degree, like immediately after that, I literally didn't write any music for like a year, I think.
Yeah.
Because I felt bad.
Right. For just generally, or to do with music? Just in life, bad?
No, I think to do with music specifically, because it's a lot of like you're being judged on your creative work.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I just didn't really exactly thrive in that environment, I guess, which is weird, but maybe weird. I felt like I didn't make the most out of it.
It's a bit of a nasty business, you know? Like I get that it's what it needs to be to kind of teach people about how to write music, but it never felt good. At any point, I didn't do a composition degree. I just did a plain old music, creative arts major in music degree. Right. But there was still moments where they give feedback on compositions, and you're like, actually, no, you don't get it. I'm just actually like really, really smart and more smarter than you, teacher, and also shut up.
Yeah.
And how dare you?
Yeah.
And I quit. These are the emotions
lesson
I experienced.
It's like several year-long lesson in receiving feedback.
Yeah.
Which I guess ultimately was probably good for my personality, because I started out being very bad at receiving feedback, and I became slightly better at it.
It is good to receive feedback. It's an important thing.
No, it is a skill that needs to be learned, like the ability to receive feedback.
Yeah.
Especially for people with certain personality types. And I would include myself in that, which is like, sort of like, I don't know, slightly narcissistic, I guess.
So maybe, but also very normal. So can you walk me through this? So you finished your degree in like 2017 or something?
Yeah, I finished the end of 2016.
Right, and then you took a year off. And then you came
Yeah,
in
basically,
with...
I was just kind of working at Coles.
Yeah.
Not really doing that much else.
Yeah.
But yeah, I also like, maybe this is an overshare, but like, I didn't really get the final mark that I wanted to get or something, or maybe, I don't know, there was like just a bunch of things where like my teacher or a teacher at the university would suggest something to me and then I would just not do it because I was like, you know what, I don't want to do that, and I like it the way it is. I don't want to change this piece of music. And maybe I was slightly too uncompromising or lazy, or something in my final year. It just, I don't know why I did that, but that's just what I decided to do.
Fair enough.
Like, so yeah, I didn't end up getting the mark that I wanted. So I think that also contributed to feeling a little bit kind of disillusioned or burnt out or something.
Yeah. But before this, were you writing or releasing anything?
No, so I was just writing classical music as part of my degree. And it would get performed like every semester or whatever. Yeah. Or, you know.
But you never had any bands or anything? Or
Well, I did have a project when I was a teenager.
Okay.
So I made music with my brother.
Yeah.
Where I would sing and he would do like the production.
Yeah.
And then just a few random songs here and there, but it was kind of like I made music when before I went to uni, like pop music. Then I got to uni and kind of stopped making pop music and just kind of focused on the classical thing, and then left uni and then took a year off making music altogether, basically. And then I started making pop music again. But after uni finished, though, I was also playing in a band. I was playing in Okino-san, which is Rose's band, Rose, who's now in my band. Yeah, I was playing drums. So I was still like involved in music in that way, but not like, creatively,
not being the engine of something or
exactly,
or whatever. Cool.
I think it actually had like a negative impact on my, emotional well-being or whatever, like mental well-being.
Not having a
to
project.
not be making anything.
Yeah.
It's kind of like you just feel kind of flat or something, or like you don't feel completely fulfilled.
Yes, I have a friend who's going through that right now. It's it's a pain, but it's also just part of the ebb and flow. So you got to forgive yourself.
Yeah,
if any listeners are having a bit of a drought, forgive yourself, listener.
Yeah, because it happened again, like not that long ago, like kind of during COVID, or I was just working heaps.
Yeah.
Hashtag essential worker.
Yeah.
Hashtag retail employee.
Yeah. I mean, and
it was like I was back to work like by the end of May.
Yeah.
Just had like 4 weeks off or whatever. And was like ended up working more than ever at like a factory outlet.
Were you like masked
randomly
up
tons
too?
of people?
Were you like were you like you had to be masked because of
yeah, and get people to hand sanitize and stuff.
Yeah, I found that.
Yeah, like when I was working a lot,
bit.
I had a similar kind of like burnt out feeling and like not feeling creative or anything.
Yeah.
So yeah, you're right. It does just happen. It's just part of this kind of ebb and flow, and you can't predict it.
Yeah. So, but when you released "I'm So Cool," so that was just you, 100% by yourself.
Yeah, I got my friend Kieran to mix it.
Okay. Cool.
Because he's a little bit better with that. Like, I really was kind of like teaching myself how to produce. When I started recording. When I recorded "I'm So Cool," like I recorded it so dodgily. I just had this like field recorder and I just held it near the speaker of the keyboard that I was using, which is actually this like Casio keyboard.
Yeah. That
I got from a family friend when I was really young, like 8 or maybe like 10 or 11 years old.
Yeah.
It says all these like dodgy Casio sounds like recorded really horribly. Then my friend helped me mix it properly.
Nice.
Kieran Frame, who's a very excellent composer in his own right.
Yeah, I just clicked on his website and it is a cool website.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's awesome. He's one of these overachievers that makes the people
get out
around
of the
him
way,
feel bad in
overachievers.
comparison.
Go to hell.
No. He's
go
great.
play
Very helpful, kind person.
Go play video games and just sit around like me for a bit.
Read a book. Actually, don't.
Don't read a book. Reading a book is classic overachiever behavior.
Yeah, that is overachiever behavior.
Jeez, all right.
But anyway, yeah, like actually before I'm So Cool, I wrote a couple of other songs. There was one called I Am a Poo and I Smell Like One Too.
Ah, yes.
Which I did post on Instagram actually later, but it's like super silly.
Nice.
And then there was like just kind of joke songs, and I'm So Cool started as a joke song as well. Kind of.
Yeah.
So yeah, it kind of developed from like writing these joke songs and then I kind of wrote some slightly more sincere songs. So my first album I actually wrote when I was kind of fired from JB Hi-Fi. Like, they don't actually fire you, they just stop giving you shifts.
Oh, classic.
So I had like a few weeks of break, and like I just had this 2-week period where I wrote my whole first album, more or less. And then the second album, which is the one we're talking about today, Popstar, was written over the course of like a few years. I think like the earliest songs on it were written in 2018, and then the most recent song was written in 2022. So kind of, it's got this kind of big time span, during which like COVID happened and all this other stuff. It was actually an excruciating record to make. Like, I'd make a little bit of progress, it wouldn't sound how I wanted or whatever. Like, I would have to re-record something, I would have to mix something differently. It was a bit of a nightmare actually to make. It really made me feel bad a lot of the time while I was making it.
Yeah. Isn't it funny how
like,
music can do that? It can just be so horrible the whole time.
Yeah. And the problem was, I think, like, the first record I made was very, like, not that ambitious, like, not that many instruments, not that ambitious compositionally. I was, like, trying to make something that people would just be able to listen to easily. The first record's 25 minutes long.
Yeah.
The second record, like, I have a song on it that's 13 minutes long, essentially. So it's like, that's one song. So, like, I was trying to do a lot more. I've lots to say about
that particular song when we get to it.
We'll definitely get there. I was trying to just, like, write way more ambitiously, but I kind of, like, was maybe a little, like, too ambitious with what I was trying to achieve. Like, and so that made it take ages.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I was still just like recording everything myself, and like if I was recording like Jack play an instrument, like I would like go to his house or he would come to my house and I'd be like, okay, we're gonna like record saxophone or whatever today. And so that is a time-consuming way to do things.
Yes.
I think in future, if I make another album, I just want to like go on holiday for like a week or 2 weeks and just like do it all in one go, so it's all done. But
yeah, and then you can just leave it all behind and say the end.
Exactly. Yeah, but I guess it resulted in like this album Popstar. I guess every song kind of it has its own kind of sound. It's all like a little bit different to each other because it was written over this really long time period. Yeah. So cool. Maybe we can dive into a song.
Yes. Which one do you want to start with?
That's a good question. Let's just start with Popstar.
I got a new job today. It's alright, it's okay. Fold shirts for a living, working 9 to 5. When I get home, maybe I'll go for a drive. Play the latest shit in Spotify. Try to copy it later, my life's a lie. Got a degree, originality, but nothing beats a simple 1 4 5. I played my first show today. Went pretty good, maybe just okay. It felt nice that my friends were there. Sometimes it felt strange seeing them stare. While I sang about the meaningless things I feel, I never talk about anything real. Guess it was a nice little confidence boost, but if I really am gonna tell the truth, I wanna be something more. Since when I was born, I wanna be a pop star. much today. It's pretty good, maybe just okay. Best thing that I've done in a while. Just a small toss, but it made me smile. Now I don't have to get takeaway no more. Never thought that would be a bore. 8 a.m. shift, so I better sleep, or I could make something good to eat. Big stage is not another bar show. How do I make that happen? I don't know. I'll be a star, not a regular Joe. I want it bad, who do I have to know? I wanna be a pop star. I wanna be a pop star, a pop star. The other day, an old man came to the show. He asked me for a dinner with him, I was so to pick up on what he meant, but now I know. So I'm frantically writing him an email. So he knows that I'm keen and that I'm good to go. See, I Google his name and it's a pretty big deal. Doesn't look bad for someone the age of John Peel. He's been signing bands since before I was born, and I'm thinking that I could be the next Peter, John, or Bjorn. Dinner was nice, he had a very charming look on his face and in his eyes, and then we went back to his place. Didn't do anything that would count as workplace harassment. No. But I think it's into me, or my music at least. See, we made a deal right after the feast. All I have to do is to keep being me, and that's refreshing to hear from one as cool as he is. Wouldn't be my super job anymore, and fucking love for that, 'cause now I want it more. He's been signing bands since before I was born, and I'm thinking that I could be the next Peter, John, or Bjorn. Peter, John, or Bjorn. Well, it's 1 month later and my son's on Triple J. Not getting trashed on Unearthed, okay. Opening for the Wombats who are past their prime. The same place I saw the Strokes in '09. Now it's 2 months later and my song is climbing charts. At this point I give two shits like what is art. Taking taxis everywhere and somebody does my hair. Going on until so just remember where you first had the goddamn name. And it's cool, nothing's gonna be the same. And we'll rule the charts for years to come. And it's cool, you name your firstborn son. And it's cool, sometimes I'll hear from someone I used to know. They say congrats, I'm too smart for that shit, no. See, I've got new friends and they buy me drugs. Soon I'm gonna have a cool Persian rug. Now it's 3 months later and I'm rocking out. 7 piece band and the crowds all shout my own goddamn words straight back at me. Don't even need to get high because you see they all know my goddamn name. And it's cool, nothing's gonna be the same. And we'll rule the charts for years to come. And it's cool, you the charts for years to come. Fenn is cool. You will name your firstborn son. Fenn is cool. And it's 1 year later, the accountant says to me, if you're gonna pay your mortgage, you will sell your SUV. Have you thought about getting a proper job? I hear that they are hiring at the Coles in King's Cross. I say, do you even know who you're talking to? Music video rotation on Channel 2. I supported Paramore on their latest dates. He says, then why are all of your repayments late? And I realize that it's right, I need to think ahead. Honestly, at this point, I'd feel better dead. I had everything I wanted, then it went away. The guy at the label said it happens every day. He said that taste can change, maybe he backed the wrong horse. I wish that he was wrong, but at this point I'm not so sure. So I start to work on my stupid resume, put it in the online system, answering questions okay. I don't want to undertake a broad range of tasks. My availability is please don't ask. And I'm hoping that I get a good support slot soon, cause I'm spending all my days playing slots and drinking goon. Wanna be your a popstar. And the friends I used to have don't pick up anymore. I guess that I should not have called them dirty fame whores. Maybe they were actually the happiest for me, but I couldn't see it through a cloud of dry ice and VB. And the manager of course gave me an interview. He said, I really like the look of you. Then he said, you're a musician, well that's really nice. At that point I couldn't really look him in the eyes. Said that it was good, it didn't pay too well. Then he said, I guess not everyone is a Dave Grohl. Anyway, you got the job, so congrats on that. Please let me show you which things to stock. I've been working at Coles for a few months now. Haven't touched an instrument, I'm starting to forget how to play piano, not even for a lease. Maybe I should get some lessons only if they are for free. And I think I wanna play another bar show soon. My friend got into contact and he's got a room that he needs to fill and I'd be perfect for. He says that he'll forgive me if I say I'll work the door. If I play the show I'll get a rental car. I'm forgetting how to drive but it's not that far. And I even get to split a very small percent of drinks as according to the email that he sent. So I'm right back to where I was before, but it's not as bad as where I've been. In fact, I like it more. So if this is it, then there's not that much left to say. All you wanna be musicians, you are gonna have to pay your way through life. Or if you have parents who can, they will bankroll all your hobbies till you're in a famous band. I played my first show in a while. It went pretty good and it made me smile, seeing the faces of my raving fans, except the ones who had made other plans. I'm coming back, I can feel it in my bones. I'm on track and I'm feeling in control. Stacking shelves but it's making me strong, even though I haven't done it for long. I broke the door like I said I would. My body told me that I did good. that I'll fight from when I wasn't really acting right. I apologize, said it was cool. Fame and money can do crazy things to you. They did bad things to me. At least I got to see myself on TV. I'll never be something more. Don't care about what I'm here for. Don't wanna be a pop star. I'll never be a pop star. I'll never be something more. Don't care about what I'm here for. Don't wanna be a pop star. I'll never be a pop star, a pop star.
That was Popstar by Fenn is Cool. The coolest
And
guy.
you're listening to Music Rule.
Music Rule. Yeah, wow. I have like a lot of connection to this song. So I first heard this when did I first see you live? I think it was like I had it up on my phone before. It was October. Oh, it's disappeared again. It's October or December 2018, or it might have even been 2019.
Yeah.
I'm so annoyed.
Sounds right.
I had it ready on my phone because I wrote something on my Instagram story, and I thought it would be cool to talk about it on this episode. Yes, so I wrote here. I wrote a lot actually. I remember the first time I saw you perform live, I was like very moved, and I was also in an extremely like raw state because I think I was grieving pretty heavily at the time. But
Yeah.
yes, I was. It was 1st of February, and I wrote, it's hard to demonstrate how good this is in 15-second videos, which is true because songs like Popstar go for 13 minutes, and you can't really show that on the Instagram that well. But I said, I would highly recommend checking out Fenn is Cool if you like very funny, very tight, very thoughtful compositions. And then I said this. I'm showing Fenn on the screen now. I said, I wrote in big letters.
Fenn is textbook metamodernism.
Yes. And this is kind of because I'm very fresh out of my degree at this point. But to me, this really is music of the time. It's like, it's kind of like, if you're not familiar with metamodernism, or if you're not interested, I'm sorry, because you're going to hear what it is. But basically, like in a very broken down form, the idea that like you're using something that is like inherently a bit funny, or inherently like a bit like maybe silly,
ironic or
referential, but it is undoubtedly imbued with all of this meaning, and it really is.
And sincerity.
Yeah. I was feeling really moved by your set. And when I first heard this recorded, I almost felt like a little bit like sad, because I was like, far out. I kind of wish I could just hear what it sounded like just as a trio, like how I heard it that first time. But then I thought a bit more about it, and I was like, well, I think that would actually be like probably pretty boring, because I think part of the delivery of seeing you live and seeing you perform with your band live is that the way that the vocals are so centered. It's like there's a small glimpse of it in, I think it's like the 5th section right at the end, where it says, "I'll never be something more, don't care about," and it goes, "what I'm here for." But in that moment, it actually does cut down to the trio and the live sound that you hear when you go and watch Fenn is Cool, which is a really simple, broken down. I think it's like a 3-piece drum set or something. It's like there's like a tom snare.
Yeah,
kick.
just 2 tom snare.
Yeah,
that's
and
it,
then bass, and then your your keyboard, which up until recently didn't even have dynamics.
Yeah. It's just the case here.
Yeah. So, and that's kind of how I first took in your music. So it is, I think it is the right decision that you did decide to build up an actual song and different elements, different moods, rhythms, all that. I think it's a really great outcome. But yeah, go and see Fenn live. He's good. And
yes, and book me to play a show.
And it's a very book in to play a show, and it's a very different experience. To hearing it on a record, different in a good way.
I remember that show really well, and not to be, just returning the compliment right away, but Jack's set was like, he played one song about Nickelback that made me laugh like so hard, like, which I still think is like, it's one of like my favorite musical comedy songs like ever.
Yeah.
And then he played this other song that made me like literally cry because it was really it was an extremely raw set.
I've never been that raw in my life. It was really gnarly.
Yeah, and it was at the downstairs.
I was weeping on stage. It was bad but good because I felt very connected. And then obviously sharing a stage with you, and who else was there? Was it?
I think Bray played. Maybe
what a lineup.
As Burr.
What a lineup. That's excellent.
It was like, honestly, I think that's my favorite gig I've ever played.
Yeah.
Like, it was such a positive, like, heartwarming time. And I don't know, it was just a very kind of magical experience. Very hard to put into words. Yeah. It was at the downstairs Petersham Bowling Club, which is this really small room. And it's got this little raised stage. The sound is not great, but
and you got to do it all yourself.
Performances. Yeah.
Yes.
But that was really, a really nice moment.
Yeah.
I might just talk about like the background of this song and how we wrote it and stuff.
Yeah.
I started writing this on a lunch break at the retail job I was working at. I was working at a clothing store in Bondi Junction. I wasn't actually working at Coles. I actually wrote this a couple of years after I had stopped working at Coles, or a year and a half or something. I was on a lunch break, and then I wrote like the first... Sorry. Oh my God. Oh, it's so emotional. I can't even get the words out. No, I just drank a coffee before. So I wrote the first verse about folding clothes, working 9 to 5, folding shirts for a living, which is literally what I was doing. And then when I got home, I wrote like the lyrics for the entire song, basically, over like a period of like a few hours. It all just like kind of like poured out of me, all in this one sitting. Like I almost don't have memory of writing it. It was just like this weird, like,
you just squirted out 12 minutes of music, 30 minutes of music. Incredible.
Yeah, like, and I didn't even really write like, I don't even know if I wrote any of the music. I just did all the lyrics first. And then I think the next day I just recorded like really, really rudimentary demo just using GarageBand, electric piano, and just voice, and like a 13-minute like demo, like, which is just like super, super raw and like really bad vocal takes just to get like all the melodies and all the chords and stuff down.
Yeah.
So something that happened, the composition happened really quickly of the bare bones of it. And then, my God, did it take a long time to do all the other stuff, the arrangement.
Yeah.
And then, playing it live, that was another thing, like having to learn all the words.
You're probably just talking about the arrangement of performing it live, not even the arrangement of recording it for Popstar, right?
Yeah, I was talking about the recording, but like performing it live, that was the whole thing. Like, learning all the different sections, trying to remember like that many words was really difficult for me, because when I get nervous on stage, I'll like forget entire verses of lyrics sometimes.
I did notice that when you performed. I was like, because I had no idea that this song would go for 13 minutes, and then it just kept on going and took me everywhere. I was enraptured. I was laughing so hard. I think I just sat there being like, when something's so good, you're slightly upset. That was me. I think I was
Yeah.
just like far out. Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah, like it's a funny one because like yeah, I think like I have a different reaction to it than other people. Like when I was listening to it then I was like, this is kind of quite sad.
Like
Like the actual story of it.
right.
It's like I mean, you know, loosely based on myself. By loosely I mean very closely based on myself.
Yeah.
Except the character in this song can drive and I cannot.
I saw that line and I was like, huh.
Yeah, that's what makes it fiction.
The other bit that something that like when we were listening, I looked up is in the third kind of section. It says, "Well, it's 1 month later, and my song's on Triple J, not getting trashed on Unearthed. Okay." So I typed in "Fenn is cool Unearthed" to see if you'd got trashed, and you haven't got trashed, but you got a nice review from a Triple J guy, and then he gave you 3 stars. Do you know the one? It was just like, oh, before this I wondered if Fenn was cool, but now I know Fenn is cool after listening. 3 stars, and I'm like, come on.
I'm like, 3 stars.
Surely,
Okay.
Surely you just like everything you wrote had 4.5 star energy, right? I don't know. Anyway, but yeah,
You know, it's nice that he even listened to it.
No such thing as bad
and
publicity.
I'm sure that it's probably a real 3-star and not a whatever. But it was actually that line was about like there was this like anonymous reviewer that that also gave me 3 stars, and I was like, because I'm insecure, I was like, what the hell? Why is this 3 stars?
Yeah, I get it. I've seen that on Rate Your Music when people send through stuff, and I'm like, I don't really want to know what people are saying about their music.
I do want to know, and it's bad for me to know.
Yeah,
it's like
yeah, you gotta.
But it's also kind of like, I don't know, it brings you back down to earth a bit if you think you're
Yeah, it's true.
if you think you're all that.
I like,
but
I like good criticism from good people who I respect. I
definitely
random people on the internet who I don't know. Like, it's like, why am I like? What do you know? Why do I trust you? Like, why should I listen to you?
Yeah, totally.
I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, there's another line in that section. So that's like kind of like the part where I sell out. But it's funny to me like that the limit of selling out is like playing support slots for like for other bands.
Yeah, I also took a note.
It's like this very like limited like Australian vision of like what it's like to make it, which is like the ultimate goal.
Yeah, the other bit
is playing a support slot at the Horden Pavilion.
The other thing I took down was like when you're in the section you're talking about being like super rich and like extravagant, and the line is taking taxis everywhere. It's like, wow, that's such a like opulent thing to do, is to just take a taxi wherever you want. Like, it's like
having a 7-piece band.
Yeah,
it's like that's like, I mean, it's a few people, but it's like not a crazy amount of people.
Yeah, I like that. I kind of get a bit more because that would cost money, but it's all like I guess like the really rich people who've made it just have jets and stuff. You know, they're flying their jets around, or limos, or they have a personal driver. The idea of like calling in like a yellow taxi and being like, "Hoo-hoo, here I go, big rich boy."
Look at me. It's so funny that like even in this like fantasy song of like, oh wow, like this could happen, it's like there's still so many limits on it.
Yeah, it's so good. Classic.
Yeah.
Although you talk about having an SUV, but even that's just a car. Wait. Yeah. You just have a mortgage.
An SUV
in a car
that I have to sell to pay for the mortgage.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like I guess what I find a little bit sad about this song is that it's about kind of letting go of all ambition in a way. Which I think at the time I was writing, I was like, that's the answer that'll help me to not feel bad about like not achieving necessarily what I wanted to achieve in music and stuff. I mean, we all have these kind of goals of like, I want to perform and my own songs as like a career or whatever, or I want to write music as a career. And yeah, I think writing this song was kind of me being like, it's okay to just like work a side job, do music on the side, you know, to work a day job, do music on the side, and just like get the most out of it that you can, which I still believe. But I think there's something almost like slightly kind of unhealthy about letting go of all ambition altogether. You know what I mean? Like there's some kind of middle ground between what I was thinking when I was writing this and before that or whatever.
Yeah.
Where like you can kind of balance, you know, having certain ambitions with facing reality. Yeah. And another thing actually that I was thinking about while I was writing this song was maybe not consciously, but like as I was listening to this album called Jersey Flag by U Beauty, which really follows this kind of almost hero's journey arc, and it's about an NRL player, and he kind of goes through a breakup, and then he gets back together with the girl, and then he kind of like ends up back where he started, but he's like happier after having gone through this journey, which is this whole kind of hero's journey structure that you learn in like 7th grade English, where like the character starts at one point in a circle, right? And then he goes through these like trials and tribulations or whatever, or his world changes, and then his world goes back to normal, and he like returns to the same place, but he is changed as a result of his journey. So that's kind of what inspired like the structure of it a little bit, and I was trying to kind of follow that kind of loosely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you say it's kind of about like coming to terms with like not being like a full-time musician or making money from
Yeah,
performing.
definitely. And especially at the time I was working a retail job, like, whereas now like I'm only doing music, like I'm teaching music, but it's something that I enjoy a lot more than working in retail.
Yeah. I think it's like retail and hospitality are two places where you can work that just suck the living like soul out of you.
They're two very different, very special kinds of hell.
Yeah, they are very different. Like hospitality has like you can kind of be like, it's a bit more like, how do I put it? Kind of like more physical, like because you're running around and you're like you're present and
it's grueling.
And
like nonstop. Whereas retail, like at the store I was working in, I could stand there for like 3 hours and like not a single soul would come into the store.
Yeah.
And I would just be like, what am I doing with my life? Like literally, this is my life that I'm living.
Time is trickling
I'm literally
away.
standing. Yeah. I can feel myself aging, you know, standing in the same spot in this store, just like looking at a wall. Like, this is ridiculous.
And then you have to like, I think the fakery gets you as well. Like I had a job where I was working as like one of the Santa Claus photographers once at a at a mall, at a shopping center in Warrawong. And yeah, it was like, I think working in like a shopping center is kind of comparable to working in a hospital. Like both are very like kind of not distilled. What's the word where disinfected, sterile. They're both very sterile environments that are really like inhuman. Like the lights are always so bright. You can't tell what time of day it is. It's just, you're just like thrown completely the whole time. Yeah. So I resonate with that as someone who also just has a job related to music. So a feeling like the person in your song, which is you at the end of all this.
Which is me. Musically, like a couple of things that I want to talk about. The first and the last sections are the same, right? The same chords, pretty much. Very similar structure. But like just with a few lyrical changes. So that, I guess that kind of goes back to that kind of circular structure where it's like his return to the same position he was in before. And then there was some other things that I was pretty happy with in terms of compositionally. Like I tried to take some of the melodic ideas of like the first section and the second section and put them, and the third section as well, and put them as like backing vocals in the fourth part, the kind of sparser piano bit.
Wanna be Popstar. Peter, John, or Bjorn. Spending all my days playing slots and drinking goon. Wanna be your John. Hey, Popstar.
So like there's the piano going, and then I kind of changed the melody a little bit, but there's like a I wanna be a pop star in the background, as well as the Peter, Bjorn, and John, as well as the Fenn is cool from the third part. So it's kind of like trying to incorporate these recognizable motifs from the first three parts and put them in that fourth part to kind of join everything together and give it a reason to exist in the same song together musically, and also as a way of kind of like highlighting the journey. Yeah.
I mean, it's like a full project to try and make a 13 minutes long song make sense. And there's lots of things happening that you probably don't notice listening casually, because you just, and then they just sort of come in and you're like, oh, there's a reason this sounds familiar. Kind of like Katie in Katie's album.
Yeah, the Katie Day album. Yeah, that idea of like taking this melody that you've heard before and then kind of
you were absorbing it unconsciously.
Exactly. Yeah, and that's one thing that I learned at Composition University. Yeah, is this emphasis on motivic development, and actually got a bit like marked down for not doing it well enough in some of my some of my projects. So I wonder if this is some kind of reaction to that. Yeah, just I'm gonna do it
really, really hard.
Do it nicely in this song. Yeah. Should we move on to the next one?
Let's do it. What do you want to listen to next?
Let's do See the Sea next.
Okay.
Take a bath, take the shoes off, just let it go. Nothing too often. Make a mark where you wrote. Have a and hell and number younger. Take a bath, take the shoes off, just let it go.
See the sea. I love it.
There we go.
I was listening to the end of that with the how it fades out to just drums. I could listen to you do a percussion album, I reckon.
Yeah.
I'd love more moments like that. It's really cool. Tick, tick, tick,
One
tick.
thing that I really loved doing a lot of on this album was like double tracking and triple tracking drums, like just having like many
That's what that
layers of
was.
drums. Yeah, it's really fun and it sounds really cool.
It sounded like the drums sounded really like well produced. Like really like heaps of clarity to it and stuff. Was that?
That's cool.
Is that
it's
a bit
just
of
all on this field recorder?
Okay, cool.
But it was all mastered by this guy Max Gowan. Yeah, so this is like the only time I got my music professionally mastered and stuff. But I think he did a really nice job of it, and like it all sounds really like clean and nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
this song actually was inspired by, I wonder if you can guess which band that we have already talked about on this podcast for an entire episode.
Oh, it's Spirit of the Beehive.
That is right. I was trying to write a song like Spirit of the Beehive.
Nice.
And it ended up sounding not like them.
Yeah, I was going to say it's not very much like Spirit of the Beehive.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love the extra instrumentation in this song. Particularly, the percussion at the end is so groovy. It's so cool. Who performed that? Was that you?
That was me.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah. So it's kind of like this 5 against 4 polyrhythm.
Right.
Where it's like
in which section?
In the final section.
That want to be to see.
Yeah. It's
really?
a version of a 5 against 4 polyrhythm. But with like quavers on the 4, kind of.
Okay. Oh, I see. Yeah, cool. Yeah, and then a bar of 4 to wrap up each one. So
yeah, exactly.
So technically,
3 bars of 5 and a bar of 4.
Technically, it's in 1908 and 1904.
Exactly.
Yeah,
one part that I really like is the flute solo that Rose does in the middle. So that was all her. Like she just improvised.
Bit of reverb on it too. Bit of delay.
Oh
it's
yeah,
nice.
I like tripled it or something. Like I don't know, did put some delay on it and stuff.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, it just sounds so cool.
Yeah,
I'm like, yeah, that's nice.
So I want to.
In the middle section. Oh yeah, sorry.
I just want to interrupt because I want to ask a question about the lyrics in the first bit. Take a bath, take your shoes off, take someone's hand, say you love them, make a mark on the wall, take a bath. So I'm imagining someone like taking off their clothes, right? And then it says heaven and hell and Under Armour. Is that a reference to the underwear brand Under Armour?
Yeah, like the sportswear brand Under Armour.
Yeah.
All of these lyrics were completely stream of consciousness. I was because a lot of the lyrics on the rest of the album are very intentional and very like, I spent like days and weeks like editing and like making them exactly what I wanted them to be. But these lyrics were completely just like, I like wrote it down just in a mad rush. And I like have different lyrics happening in different ears. Like the right ear has like different lyrics to the left ear.
This is a very stereo
in all those
song.
verses.
Very stereo.
Yeah, totally. Which happens in a car seat headrest song. That's what I was inspired by to do that.
Cool.
But yeah, I guess like they ended up kind of being like a little bit self-care-y like lyrics. Like I want to see the sea was kind of like, it feels nice like for your mental state to see water, to see the ocean. Like it's something that I personally really need, is like to see water on a regular basis. And now I live near a very smelly river, which is great for me. Which is actually great for me.
Nice. I've lived near the sea, so I'll take a photo of it.
Yeah.
It's definitely the first thing I have in my mind after we finish this 2.5 hour podcast session is to go lay my eyes upon the ocean and feel a bit more human. But yeah.
Yeah, definitely. So it was kind of funny that that's how it ended up. It's just like a stream of consciousness reflection of how I was feeling, I guess, when I was writing the song.
Yeah. I just like the Under Armour thing because it kind of puts me back in your retail world for a second.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if that was an intentional thing.
You know what it may have been influenced by is one of my friends at the retail job I was working at. He went to a party with like the CEO of Under Armour or something. Yeah, crazy.
Mr. Armour himself.
Like, Mr. Armour. Nice. Yeah. And it was like this really opulent party. while this guy, my friend at the time, was like working a retail job and like literally couldn't afford to get he broke his tooth and he couldn't afford to get it fixed.
Damn.
Like,
yeah.
it was like really crazy that he was I don't know. Yeah, it was a weird time for him, I
Teeth
think.
are luxury bones. They're not covered under Medicare.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, everyone says Australian healthcare is so good, but it
It
does not include dental.
does not. Yeah. Okay.
With the opening of this, it was kind of inspired by like a lot of conversations in the group chat with me, Jack, and Rose, my band members, about songs that have like some kind of rhythmic illusion or something, like a rhythmic trick, where it's like you feel it in one time signature, and then when the drums come in or something, like it totally changes the feel of it. So like, yeah, I don't know, like there's a Strokes song called Automatic Stop that just like has this offbeat guitar, but you don't realize that it's offbeats, and then when the drums come in, it recontextualizes how you're hearing the rhythm. So that was the goal for the opening and for like some of the other things in the song. And for a lot of this song's lifetime, it was called Rhythmic Illusion in the GarageBand file.
I'm so glad you changed the name.
It's before there were any lyrics around
Yeah,
it.
nice. Rhythmic
yeah.
illusion.
With the chords, it's kind of like a
A
lot of like like a lot of major 7 chords. But
it sounds like they're a bit more dense than just major
descending.
7s, unless you're voicing them really interestingly.
Oh yeah, no, I'm adding like I just add every possible extension onto a lot of my chords.
Yeah.
So the first chord is actually a major 6 add 9, which is a beautiful chord to use actually. If you don't want the sound of like, if you don't want that kind of major 7 sound, but you still want a major chord, major 6 add 9 is like a really good one to use. And this one is just a major 9. This is also a major 9, but I'm adding the 6 as well, just for fun. This one is a 13 chord, and then this is like another kind of major 9.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah. So I like using a lot of the same chords.
I feel like...
And then later on, there's like a bit of a modulation where it goes... So it's like E flat, D flat, C, G flat, F, and then it changes to E, D, C, G flat, F. So it's almost like a fake modulation. I'm just replacing the first 2 chords with like a semitone above what they were before.
Yeah.
As long as like it's kind of a, I don't know, not even a modulation.
Maybe like an auditory illusion to go with the rhythmic
auditory
illusion.
illusion.
It's an illusion. This whole song strikes me as maybe the most kind of like proggy of the album.
Yeah.
Which is cool.
It's like the most composition-y
Yeah.
almost.
You know I love when you flex that stuff. I'm way into it.
Yeah. Because like sometimes when I'm just writing a song, like my natural impulse is just to go like C, F, G, like C, F, G, C, F, G, just 1, 4, 5, like super boring chord progressions. Even on the song Popstar, like a lot of those chord progressions are like really pretty simple, pretty straightforward, just pop progressions. And that's my natural impulse. So I actually have to like, this song was almost like me being like, oh damn, like all the songs on this album are like way too simple. I need to have one song that's like really complicated.
But Fenn, nothing beats a
like this
simple 1, 4,
ego-driven-
5.
Yeah, exactly.
To quote Fenn at Fenn.
Yes, got a degree, originality, but nothing beats a simple 1, 4, 5.
I think you don't really like. It doesn't need it, but it's just cool.
No.
It's like, but
Yeah,
yeah,
it's just I wanted to.
because this
I
song
wanted to
could
flex.
still be really.
I admit it.
This song could still be really groovy as a 1, 4, 5 because it's still got that really cool
Yeah.
driving. But yeah, I like it. I think when it came out, I was because I remember you. Did you play this live? Much?
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember asking what the name of the song was because I was like, I want to listen to this bad boy. Yeah.
Should we move on to the next
Let's
one?
move on to the next one.
So this will be the last one we talk about. This is called Deleted Accounts.
And I need to rest. I've had enough. I don't want to worry. You know what your star sign is. And I need to rest. I've had enough. The soles of my feet hurt. I don't know what my star sign is. What do you do? Oh, not alive. What will you do? I don't even know how to answer that. Where will you go? Somewhere hard. Knowing lots of things is all that I got. I had 3 different accounts by the age of 23. Deleted all the evidence of who I used to be, and the memories of myself that were embarrassing to me. In my mind they still remain, but they have faded gradually. Process it all, I think that I can see a vision of my future self in perfect harmony with everything I did before. All of my memories too caught up in who I was instead of who I want to be. An expert in forgetting with a perfect memory for all the stupid things I did at the age of 13. And when I think about them now, I exhale heavily. Heart starts beating up with second-hand anxiety. I keep myself distracted so this does not get to me. Like the time I thought to say goodbye to grandma properly. Allergic to her ashes when we spread them out to sea. Had to go to hospital for antihistamines. But when the sun rises over the dust that leaves the me, I would worry that I talk too much or do it frequently. The water will reflect the springs of my eternity. Then the waves will come and wash them all away.
I gotta say, for track 7, it's got big closer energy.
Yeah.
It's a
Maybe I should have put it at the end.
no. I like the ending track, but yeah, it's just it's really good. It's quite dense, lyrically. I think like it sort of contains a lot. But yeah, it's kind of. I think it's very nice, the way that in the last two the last two paragraphs, you sort of kind of come to a conclusion, like a bit of a peaceful conclusion about the state of being and being anxious about things that are temporary and stuff like that. Like it's,
Yeah.
I think it's nice to have that, for the listener and for you.
I guess, yeah, like the process of writing this song was very laborious. Like I spent a very long time on the lyrics, especially those last few verses.
Yeah.
like trying to make sure that it was, I don't know, what I wanted it to be. And I guess ultimately, like, it kind of has this zooming out effect where, like, it starts with a very kind of mundane, like, day-to-day concerns, and then it kind of keeps zooming out,
Yeah.
looking at things in a more bigger picture way. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I can, and I think anyone can relate. Anyone who is our age, who grew up with the internet, can relate to the idea of deleting accounts or evidence of, you know, who you used to be or things you used to say.
Yeah. Being embarrassed about the person that you used to be and trying to come to terms with, like, you know, we all, like, are just growing as people and trying to figure out how to live and stuff. So you're trying to make peace with, like, okay, the person that I was, like, I still am that person. That's still a part of me, even though I'm different now. And even, like, the bad things about that person, I can kind of, like, acknowledge it and, like, come to terms with it, or the things that make me embarrassed.
Yeah,
you know,
exactly. And you can reintegrate it into yourself.
Exactly. Yeah, you don't have to, like, hate the person that you were, I guess.
I thought
it's kind of like the ultimate thing.
I thought it was funny, the expert in forgetting with a perfect memory for all the stupid things I did at age 13.
Yeah.
You know, like that's a thing that exists, and I'd say, like, I didn't exist in the 1700s, but I feel like it's probably more of a thing now than it ever has been. And I feel like it's because you have constant reminders, at least on Facebook or Instagram. You get these reminders of things that you've said or all the time, and it does have perfect recall, and we've never had that before. Usually we can just make mistakes into oblivion, and maybe people would remember and they would remind you, and you would use it to kind of, I guess, navigate your life and learn and grow. But now we get this perfect recall of exactly who we were and what we were sharing on the internet 10 years ago.
Yeah, totally.
Or longer.
Yeah, like
17 years ago.
I didn't have social media for, like, I think 4 years or something.
Really?
Like,
so how old were you?
Until about 2017. How old was I when I got social media again? 23, I think.
Right.
I think that's when I started getting it again. Yeah.
Yeah, cool.
So, like, all through uni, I had no Facebook or Instagram or anything.
Yeah.
I was still using, like, a Nokia phone. So it's kind of about that as well.
Yeah, right.
I guess. Yeah. Then, like, musically, the middle section, I use a lot of, like, aleatoric kind of layering, I guess, just, like, playing these same arpeggios lots of different times and just intentionally playing it slower or faster than the other times. So you just have this real randomness, this kind of cascading effect.
Yeah.
In that middle section with the wave sounds and all the piano.
Yeah, I love that section. It's so pretty. What are the chords? They sound like kind of a bit romantic era or something.
It's an F major 7, then an E minor 7, and then this is the weird one. It's like a D sharp augmented chord. It's just like E minor, but you just move the E to a D sharp. So D sharp, G, B.
Yeah.
But then it leads nicely back to the F. And then those chords continue on to the next section, for which I instructed Jack, my bass player, to do the by the way slap bass thing.
Yeah.
And then I did even the vocals on top of it. I was just, like, trying to copy By the Way by the Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Really? I would not have picked that.
Yeah. Yeah. If you listen, like, it's just like, you know, Card Shark.
Yeah. Like, I can hear that it's like a busy bass guitar, and obviously, like, Jacob's quite good at doing that. But like, he's playing fretless. Is that correct?
No.
Oh wow.
It's fretted. Yeah.
Sounds
but
super
he tuned
fretless.
his string down a semitone, the bottom string.
Right.
To get to the low E flat or something.
It's funny, that section where the bass re-enters really reminded me of playing Sonic the Hedgehog as a child. I don't know why.
Yeah. Because there's, like, that organ solo, that's all just, like, input, MIDI input. So maybe that's why as well.
Yeah.
The, like,
yeah, it's kind of like, it's got this cheerfulness to it. That's Yeah.
it's funny, like it's like probably the most sincere lyrics on the album. It's like in a song I really made it a struggle to get to the sincere part. It's like, okay, you can have like these earnest lyrics, but you have to sit through like this weird ambient section and then a whole lot of slap bass with like an organ solo. And then if you can make it past that, then you can
and
then you can have,
I guess some of the synth in that first bit fits that as well. Like it's a little like but I don't really see that as like necessarily counter to, you know, really like sincere lyrics or whatever. It's just like because it's all just part of the album. Is like it seems to be the whole album has a mix of out of the box sounds, like maybe like kind of stock piano and garage band in C to C, where all the velocities are the same, and then these moments where it's like it just cuts to like, you know, what sounds like a real band playing with like, so there is a lot of that contrast in this album.
Actually, one of the main melodies in this song is completely stolen from a Car Seat Headrest song.
Oh, really?
As well. I'm revealing all my secrets an hour and 17 minutes into
cool.
this. The melody that's like there's a Car Seat Headrest song that goes, car seats nervous and the lights are bright. When I was a kid, I fell in love with Michael Stipe. I took lyrics out of context and thought he must be speaking to me. So it's very slightly different, but in the Car Seat Headrest song Strangers, it happens only once. So I was like, that is such a good melody, and like I would just always listen to that little bit. Yeah. So I was like, thank you.
Yeah, I will take
that. Take that, and I'm gonna repeat it like 5 times.
Yeah, that's the way to do it. I mean, what else would happen to that melody otherwise?
Yeah.
I do.
It's lost to the ether.
Lost to the ether. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that track. It is like, it does have closer energy to it. But yeah, I think it's a nice balance of a lot of elements that you use within this album. So did you write a song in the style of Fenn is Cool?
I considered it, and I was like, I do not have time to do that.
Yeah. Fair enough. I didn't do that for the Basil's one. It's too tiring.
It would be overkill.
Yeah.
I think.
Yes. Nah.
But yeah. That's the album, or that's 3 songs off the album. You could have listened to the album approximately twice in the time it took you to listen to this episode.
So maybe you put that at the beginning, and then you can play the album in the background while you listen to this. And then Fenn could get all of that awesome streaming money, all those big bucks,
all of those amazing royalties.
It's like $7, like,
or you can buy it on Bandcamp. It is $5.
Don't worry about that.
Just stream
it. Just go to.
Just stream it.
Just use Spotify.
Go to Spotify. Put it on loop.
Yeah. But oh wow, far out! I just spilt coffee on my shirt. Gee whiz! I wish I could get a shirt. Where can I get a shirt? Oh, wait a second. I'm on Fenn's Bandcamp, and I can buy a T-shirt here for $30.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
So maybe I'll do that.
Made all these T-shirts, and I forgot about them.
So you still have some left?
Yeah, I have heaps.
Yeah, cool.
I just never like really plugged them.
Yeah.
But I think they're cool. I think they're really cool. My friend Craig helped me do the font for it. So like I hand wrote it, and then he made it all 3D and stuff. It actually looks, I think it looks better in person than in the photos, but yeah.
Is that you as the model?
That is me.
You know, it didn't even look like you. You cleaned up nicely.
Oh, thank you.
It looks like did you like do a big shave for that photo or something?
Yeah.
That's nice.
I probably was a bit skinnier as well.
No, like I'm looking at this model here, and I'm looking at this walrus, this huge elephant man on the other side of the screen.
This behemoth. I had short hair as well.
You know what's this is a bit of an aside, but you know what's funny is like I feel like I look very different in the past like 4 years, 3 years. I don't know.
Yeah.
I look at old photos.
Yeah, I'm a bit of a yo-yo. I just kind of I don't know. Look very different sometimes.
Yeah, it's funny how that happens.
But always kind of the same.
Yeah. You've always had that you've always had curly hair and
Yeah.
these dashing eyes, the chiseled jaw. That's never gone away. I could go on, but I won't. And you've always had your famous warrior outfit or your knight outfit that you're wearing.
My famous knight outfit that you can see on the cover of this album, which doesn't exist in physical format. So the only way to get it is online.
You know, it would be cool as it would be cool as a record, because it's like I think the cover itself is like, it's very nostalgic. I could see someone walking around with a giant version of that.
Yeah. Totally.
And if you don't have it like a high quality version, you could upscale it with AI. You should just get it just get it printed out to look like a record, even if you don't do it, because records are so expensive. Like
they are.
It's
yeah.
really,
I'll just make a poster.
Yeah, just make a poster. Yeah. Cool. Well, does that finish up our episode? I think it might.
I think so.
Thanks so much for listening, everybody. I hope you enjoyed this deep dive into one of ours' music. And
yeah, this may be the longest episode yet.
Yeah, we've been podcasting a long time today, and both episodes have been super long. So, thanks for listening, and go and support Fenn on Bandcamp. I've redacted my Spotify thing. Go and buy his Bandcamp album. Go and look him up online. He's doing really cool things. And before we finish, do you want to tell me about your podcast you've got going? What's that about?
So I have a podcast.
I'm so sorry, we've run out of time.
You can follow Music Rules at Music Rules Cast. You can follow me at Fenn is Cool on Instagram and whatever else, Twitter and stuff.
Babo.
Yeah. You can follow Jack at Oki_dope. Oh, two underscores.
Someone took the one underscore.
It's a real modern dilemma, trying to figure out the amount of underscores in someone's Instagram handle. Some people go crazy with it. They have like 5 underscores.
They do. It just looks like one big line.
Yeah, we're done.
We're done.
Let's
wrap it up. Bye.
Goodbye. Music Girls.
Bye.